I'm just a singer. Nothing crazy.
Chappell Roan is one of 2024's biggest success stories, but has her meteoric rise been overshadowed by controversy, from clashing with photographers on the red carpet, to sparking debates over her political views, to calling for more distance from her fans? This talented star has dominated headlines. I'm going to dive into her most talked about moments, explore how she rose to fame, and ask whether the backlash she's facing is justified or just another example of the double standards women encounter in pop stardom, and the normalization of parasocial relationships with celebrities. Born Kaylee Amstutz in Willard, Missouri in 1998, Chappell Roan grew up in a deeply conservative Christian household. She attended church 3 times a week and spent summers at Christian camps, an upbringing that later inspired her artistic persona. Her stage name honors her grandfather, Dennis K. Chappell, and his favorite song, The Strawberry Roan. Chappell's love of music was clear early on. At 13, she won her school talent show. At 14, she auditioned unsuccessfully for America's Got Talent, but remained determined. By 15, she was uploading covers to YouTube, catching the attention of record labels. In 2017, she signed with Atlantic Records, though her style back then was worlds away from what we see today. Dressed in flowing white dresses, she described her sound as dark, angsty pop that was pretty boring. While she gained a small, devoted fan base, her music struggled to break through commercially. In 2020, she released 3 songs with Atlantic, including Pink Pony Club. At the time, all unfortunately underperformed, and by August of that year, Atlantic dropped her. Around the same time, her relationship of 4.5 years ended, and she was diagnosed with bipolar II disorder. She moved back to Missouri to regroup, working a drive-through job while living with her parents. By 2021, Chappell returned to Los Angeles with a renewed sense of purpose, taking on jobs like nannying and production assisting to support herself. That summer, she reconnected with collaborator Daniel Nigro, reigniting her creative process. She also revamped her aesthetic, teaming up with creative director Ramisha Sitar, and drawing inspiration from the drag community she admired. Her breakthrough in part came through TikTok. With a mix of humor and industry commentary, Chappell's videos went viral, bringing her music to a broader audience. Yet behind the scenes, she struggled. She later admitted that much of this time was fueled by mania linked to her bipolar diagnosis. In an interview with Rolling Stone, she reflected, "I wasn't sleeping, I was on the incorrect meds, I had the energy and the delusion and realized that this app is fueled off mental illness, straight up." Hitting rock bottom, Chappell sought therapy, crediting it with saving her life. "I realized I can't live like this. I can't live being so depressed or feel so lost that I want to kill myself. I just got my shit together. I would not have been able to handle any of this even a year ago today." By late 2022, Chappell had completed her debut album, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess, and sold out her first headlining tour. Major labels vied for her attention, and she ultimately signed with Island Records, which was an imprint of Amusement Records. Unlike her restrictive experience with Atlantic, Island embraced her unique vision. 4 years after its initial release, Pink Pony Club, the very song Atlantic once overlooked, cracked the top 30. Reflecting on this full circle moment, Chappell said, "It feels so good to prove them wrong, because they weren't just a little wrong, they were really, really, really wrong. Purposeful revenge does not feel good, but revenge by accident feels awesome." Cut to 2024, Chappell Roan has become basically a household name, touring the world, performing on Saturday Night Live, and earning 6 Grammy nominations, including Best Song and Best Album. But with massive success comes a whole new set of challenges. Chappell's adjustment to fame has been rocky, marked by a series of public controversies, or what some might call overreactions. The first major backlash came after Chappell posted a TikTok reel asking fans to respect her boundaries and personal space.
"I don't care that abuse and harassment, stalking, whatever, is a normal thing to do to people who are famous or a little famous, whatever. I don't care that it's normal. I don't care that this crazy type of behavior comes along with the job, the career field I've chosen. That does not make it okay. That doesn't make it normal. It doesn't mean I want it. It doesn't mean that I like it. I don't want whatever the you think you're supposed to be entitled to whenever you see a celebrity. I don't give a if you think it's selfish of me to say no for a photo or for your time or for a hug. That's not normal. That's weird. It's weird how people think that you know a person just because you see them online or you listen to the art they make. That's weird. I'm allowed to say no to creepy behavior. Okay.
On paper, this sounds like a reasonable request, but she faced criticism for being ungrateful to the fans who made her a star. This brings up an important question. Just because fans play a crucial role in a celebrity's career, how much of their attention and energy should they be expected to give in return? Being a celebrity often means sacrificing privacy and the freedom to move through the world without constant interruptions. While many would probably take that trade-off for fame and fortune, it doesn't invalidate the very real loss of personal autonomy. For Chappell, this isn't just about inconvenience. She's faced alarming situations, including a stalker and an attempt by a stranger to kiss her. For a woman already navigating the world on high alert, these constant breaches of physical and emotional boundaries must be exhausting. And honestly, if you think that you are entitled to somebody's body or space just because they're famous, I don't know, maybe go back to kindergarten and learn to keep your hands to yourself. Actually, no, you probably shouldn't be allowed around children. Chappell's decision to speak out about her discomfort is not only justified, in my opinion, but also necessary. And yet this criticism raises a deeper issue: how quickly we are to judge someone for setting boundaries, especially when we lack insight into their personal struggles. It's easy to assume we'd handle fame differently, but we often project our expectations without considering how mental illness, stress, or personal history can shape someone's experience. Chappell later talked about how it's been since she called for a little more space from fans, and it seems it's had the intended effect.
You don't think
I do think people really listen. Just like my experience around New York City, even like the past few days, like people have been so respectful. Like no one has been creepy to me or like harassed me. It's been like, I feel very heard and like it feels good. And I think that it's hard for artists to speak up because they're so scared of their fans hating them. But we're not actually talking about fans. We're talking about like people who are harassing, and like if you happen to be a fan, then we're talking to you. But like it's easier for me to stand up for myself. Like, of course I had to say it. I was just like, I'm not taking this for the rest of my career. I've been famous for like 1 month. This is not how it's gonna go, girl.
Another controversial moment came when Chappell cancelled her shows in Paris and Amsterdam just 5 days out, citing scheduling conflicts. Fans were understandably disappointed. While refunds were offered and the shows were set to be rescheduled, fans pointed out that the many expenses like bus tickets or accommodation weren't refundable. It later emerged that the scheduling conflict was so Chappell could perform at the MTV VMAs, a high-profile gig that's undeniably important for her career, but also a decision that felt like a betrayal to her fans. As one person wrote, "Respectfully, Chappell, if you hate fame so much, maybe you shouldn't be playing shows like Lollapalooza and the VMAs. If you just want to make music and have people resonate with it, stick to the shows you booked for true fans who got tickets before you became famous." Then came a second instance of show cancellations. On September 27th, Chappell announced just 1 day before it started that she was pulling out of the All Things Go festival. This time, her reason was personal. She needed to protect her mental health. While some fans were supportive, others reacted negatively, criticizing her for not fulfilling her obligations. Chappell has been quite candid about her diagnosis of bipolar 2, which she received at 22, which is actually the same age that I got diagnosed with bipolar 2. Living with bipolar disorder is no small feat. It's a chronic illness that I wouldn't wish on anyone. The highs can be euphoric, but the lows can leave you feeling utterly broken. It's no wonder that people with bipolar disorder are statistically more likely to end their own lives. Her outspokenness about her mental health struggles deserves empathy, not judgment. Protecting her mental health isn't just about ensuring she can keep making music, it's about survival. Imagine losing an artist like Chappell Roan because the pressure became too much, a pressure that she has every right to try and alleviate every now and then. So I recently watched Smile 2, which by the way I loved. I didn't expect to because I hated the first Smile, but this one's actually worth stop checking out. So the film follows a famous pop star battling her inner demons, literally in this case, but it felt eerily relevant to this discussion. The main character's inner turmoil is dismissed or minimized by those whose livelihoods depend on her performance, which mirrors the way many real-life artists are treated. Just think of Britney Spears, whose very public struggles with mental health were exploited for years. If Chappell doesn't advocate for herself, there's a real chance nobody else will. That's why I think she deserves a little empathy. Even though she's incredibly privileged, fame and success don't exempt someone from the depths of depression or the challenges of managing a disorder like bipolar. In fact, the pressure of fame can often amplify them. When it comes to these two incidences of controversies, I think it's fair to critique her first decision. Cancelling shows to prioritize a career opportunity might make sense from her perspective, but it did leave fans feeling overlooked. However, her decision to step back from the All Things Go festival to protect her mental health is, in my opinion, completely justified. Chappell's next controversy centre around her red carpet appearances and interactions with photographers, sparking heated debates about her behaviour and its implications. On September 11th at the MTV Music Awards, Chappell found herself in a tense moment. Amid the chaos of photographers shouting, she thought she heard one yell, "Shut the f*** up," seemingly directed at her, so she decided to fire it right back at him. Reactions were divided. Some praised her for standing up to rude behaviour, while others felt she overreacted, possibly misinterpreting the situation and making it unnecessarily awkward. Later in the evening, she talked about the incident with an Entertainment Tonight reporter.
I think for someone who gets a lot of anxiety around people yelling at you, the carpet is horrifying. Yeah. And I yelled back. I yelled back! You don't get to yell at me like that!
The second incident took place on the 25th of October at Olivia Rodrigo's Guts World Tour documentary premiere. This time, Chappell pointed out a photographer she remembered being rude to her at a Grammys party.
You were so disrespectful. Here we go. You yelled at me at the Grammy party. That's good. You were so rude to me. And I deserve an apology.
Some people wondered why she was yet again creating a moment of controversy that, after her last red carpet call out, she would have known would go viral. Someone commented that they'd seen more posts about Chappell than Olivia when it was supposed to be Olivia's big moment, leading some to accuse Chappell of stealing the limelight from her friend. What I find fascinating about celebrity controversies isn't just the stars themselves, but also our reactions and what it reveals about societal values and dynamics. Chappell Roan hasn't really done anything horrific that warrants people hating her. She is standing up for herself in an industry where you're expected to play ball and present a very curated and PR-based brand. On the other hand, I do understand where her detractors are coming from. In a time of growing economic disparity, it's easy to feel disconnected from wealthy celebrities complaining about issues that many of us can only dream of having. However, there is an evident difference in how we treat female celebrities and male celebrities, being much more critical of women. The world often expects women to be quiet and endlessly grateful for their success, even as men behaving badly are given grace and are sometimes even celebrated, while a woman who speaks up for herself risks being labelled ungrateful and difficult. Chappell's behaviour challenges the passive, play nice expectations placed on women, making people a little uncomfortable. But why do we reward compliance while punishing authenticity? So I have a tiny audience compared to Chappell, or probably a few million other people, but when I posted a video that totally bombed and received mostly hate comments, I didn't leave bed for a day. I was so depressed about it. It hurt so much. And even on such a tiny scale, it really does affect you. And I couldn't couldn't even imagine facing the kind of scale of negativity that Chappell gets, and extremely like all at once. She went from being a sort of independent artist with a small but dedicated fan base to being one of the most well-known pop stars of 2024. I don't know, that would be absolutely psychologically insane. And a lot of celebrities have come out to voice their support of her or personally messaged her and, you know, said, I'm here if you want to talk about it. I went through this too, such as Lady Gaga has reached out to her, apparently Elton John. And even Daniel Craig made a statement recently that he really respects what Chappell is doing and how she is setting boundaries for herself. One of Chappell's most debated moments came when she posted some TikToks about the 2024 US election. In these videos, she avoided endorsing a particular side and instead encouraged critical thinking, acknowledging flaws on both sides.
I have encouraged people to use critical thinking skills, learn about what they're voting for, learn about who they're voting for, and ask questions. And it's being completely taken out of context. Per usual, there is nuance to what I say in interviews. And I think it's important that people use critical thinking. I think it's important for me to question authority and question world leaders and question myself, question my algorithm, question if some person that tweeted something about someone else is even true. It's important to question because that's how I think we move forward. This is my third election in voting, and the world is changing so rapidly, and I want to be part of the generation that changes things for good because we need it. If you come to my shows, if you read my full interviews, if you literally know anything about me and for what I stand for, you know that this is not lip service, this is not virtue signaling, that my actions have always paved the way for my project and the people who really know me. Actions speak louder than words, and actions speak louder than an endorsement. Here's the full quote that a lot of people are just not reading. I have so many issues with our government in every way, she says. There are so many things that I would want to change, so I don't feel pressured to endorse someone. There's problems on both sides, and I encourage people to use your critical thinking skills. Use your vote. Vote small. Vote for what's going on in your city. The change she wants to see in the US is this election year, she says, instantly is trans rights. They cannot have cis people making decisions for trans people, period. So, hear from my mouth, if you're still wondering, no, I'm not voting for Trump. And yes, I will always question those in power and those making decisions over other people. And I will stand up for what's right and what I believe in. And like, it's always at the forefront of my project. And I'm sorry that you fell for the clickbait.
This attempt to strike a neutral tone backfired spectacularly. In today's hyper-polarized climate, neutrality is often equated with complicity. Many fans felt she was shirking her responsibility as a public figure to take a clear stance, especially during an election that felt so high stakes. Amid the backlash, Chappell eventually bowed to the pressure and reluctantly revealed she would be voting for Kamala.
I just woke up and to like people just skewing it even more. Endorsing and voting are completely different. I don't agree with a lot of what is going on with like policies. Like obviously, fuck the policies of the right, but also fuck some of the policies on the left. That's why I can't endorse. That's why I can't like put my entire name and my entire project behind one, because there is no way I can stand behind some of the left's completely transphobic and completely genocidal views. So yeah, there are huge problems on both. You know what is right and wrong, and so do I. Trump for real, but some of the shit that has gone down in the Democratic Party that has failed people like me and you. And more so, Palestine. And more so, every marginalized community in the world. So no, I'm not gonna settle for what the options that are in front of me. And you're not gonna make me feel bad for that. So yeah, I'm voting for Kamala.
This incident wasn't just about her political views, it became about timing, tone, and delivery, all of which were scrutinized and criticized. Some accused her of being out of touch with the gravity of the election, mocking her for caving to pressure instead of taking a bold stance from the outset. Others felt her initial message of unity, though noble in theory, was naive and tone-deaf, given the deepening divide between left and right.
And I'm not gonna let this narrative of like me playing both sides. No. This is not me playing both sides. This is me questioning both sides because this is what we have in front of us. So if you look at my statement and you're still like, she's just playing both sides, like she doesn't wanna, no, you're not getting it. I'm critiquing both sides because they're both so fucked up.
What's fascinating about this controversy is how it reflects our cultural expectations of celebrities. Decades ago, it was considered rude to even ask somebody who they were voting for. It was considered a private matter. But now, celebrities are not only expected to share their views, but to use their platforms to influence others. Are we demanding too much from public figures, or do they wield too much power to remain silent? In conclusion, Chappell Roan, with all her brilliance and even her controversy, has proven herself to be an authentic and resilient artist who never gave up on her dreams despite countless setbacks. She's someone who unapologetically sticks up for her artistic vision, her mental health, and her experience in this world. Chappell Roan's story isn't just about her triumphs or controversies, it's about how we as a society perceive and treat women who refuse to conform to the rules of fame. Her journey invites us to ask tough questions. Why do we hold female artists to higher standards than their male counterparts? Why do we scrutinize their behavior so harshly while excusing men for far worse? And most importantly, what does it say about us that we often demand silence and compliance from those who dare to stand out? In the end, Chappell Roan is not just an artist, she's a reflection of where we are as a culture, and perhaps where we need to go. So that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.